Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series dedicated to discovering and appreciating anime through its lovely ladies. In this exciting episode, we'll be going through and rating waifu from the Monogatari series on a scale from 1 to 5 stars. Before we get started, consider buying your favorite anime figures from Entertainment Earth. Use my affiliate link to get 10% off all in-stock items and free US shipping on orders $79 and up. Today, I'm featuring these super sexy figures of Rem and Ram from ReZero. You can find links to both in the description. There's also my very own Dakimakura, available for purchase from Cuddly Octopus. That link is also in the description. The Monogatari series follows Koyomi Araragi, a high school loner whose life was turned upside down when he encountered a limbless vampire. This vampire, Kishot Acerola Orion, Heart Under Blade, was on the verge of death after being attacked by hunters. To save her, Koyomi allowed her to suck his blood, transforming him into her minion. As part human, part immortal, Koyomi tries to live out his school days, but continues to confront all manner of supernatural phenomena, most of which plague his friends and loved ones. Basically, all of the anime's waifu have some sort of mythological haunting that leads Koyomi to help them. These strange aberrations are generally referred to as oddities. Let's begin with Kishot, the vampire who seeks out her own death. Originally named Lola, she was born to a noble family as a beautiful woman revered by all who saw her. Despite their praise, Lola hated being seen only for her outward appearance, and so a witch cast a spell on her that allowed her inner beauty to shine through. Turns out, her inner beauty was even more spectacular, causing her kingdom's people to feel unworthy. Unable to offer her adequate gifts, the people began to commit suicide, offering her their own lives. It became a curse, such that the people's bodies piled higher than her own palace. To avoid further bloodshed, Lola went on a journey, living in solitude so as to not show her beautiful heart to others. Along the way, she met a vampire named Deathtopia Virtuoso Suicide Master, who in turn made her a vampire so that she could consume and devour the corpses of her victims. Kishot became her vampire name, and she accepted it so that, by eating her victims, she could give her dead victims a purpose, some meaning behind their demise. She once attempted to recruit her own minion, a thrall, by resurrecting a Japanese man from his disembodied hand. He was an oddity slayer named Seishiro, so as soon as he realized he'd become a vampire, he immediately cast himself into the sunlight, burning to death. Because of this, Kishot felt regret for her continued existence, wishing to die for somebody else's sake. However, in modern times, when she was disembodied by vampire hunters, she suddenly feared death, begging Koyomi to offer up his blood to her. She then promised him she could turn him human if he could reclaim her missing limbs. In her weakened state, her body reverted back to that of a child, and as she gained strength, her body would get older. Koyomi gathered her limbs, fully restoring her, only to finally realize he had resurrected a bloodthirsty monster. Horrified by her and what he had now become, he sought to undo his mistake. He and Kishot fought each other, and Koyomi gained the upper hand by drinking nearly all of her blood. On the verge of death once more, Kishot admitted that she wanted this to happen. By killing her, Koyomi could return to being human, and she would have died for his sake, fulfilling her earlier wish. Koyomi, however, wanted her to live, just without feeding on other humans. With advice from his new mentor, Mayoi Hachikuji, Koyomi left Kishot nearly drained of blood, just barely surviving. That way, she had no power as a vampire. Koyomi, on the other hand, remained mostly human, although still keeping his regeneration. He would keep Kishot alive by having her only drink his own blood. She begrudgingly lives on in a lowly body, taking on the adoptive name Shinobu Oshino. Slowly but surely, she finds reasons to keep living, such as the chance to enjoy delicious desserts from the Japanese chain Mr. Donut. She also finds a modicum of satisfaction helping Koyomi in his endeavors. Overall, I'd rate Kishot, aka Shinobu, with 3 stars. My interest in her as a loli is only platonic, and I'm not a huge fan of the Victorian style she presents as an adult. However, she is voiced by Maya Sakamoto, which goes a long way in her appeal. Moving on, we've got Tsubasa Hanekawa, Koyomi's classmate and a class rep at Naoetsu Private High School. While she appears quite cheerful, she honestly doesn't have many close connections. Neither of her current guardians are her biological parents. Her mother carried Tsubasa as a teenage pregnancy, marrying a completely different man to help raise her. Over the years, both her biological mom and stepfather died, leaving her in the care of even more distant stepparents. At her home, she doesn't even get her own room, instead sleeping in the hallway. With nothing of meaning in her life, Tsubasa wished for excitement, which caused her to look into rumors about a vampire in town. One day, when a gust of wind exposed her panties, she met Koyomi and the two became close friends. As he struggled with being a vampire, she helped him through the ordeal, developing romantic feelings for him. Her main arc in the story comes later when, after burying a dead cat, she falls under the influence of an oddity called the Sawari Neko. It transforms her into a cat girl, compelled to roam the streets at night, draining the energy from unsuspecting victims. The source of her transformation into this black Hanekawa is the stress building up from her unrequited love for Koyomi. Initially, she pacifies this side of herself when she gives up on him, but when she's ailed by a tiger oddity named Kako, she decides to reconcile with Black Hanekawa to stop the tiger from torching the places she considers home. Overall, Tsubasa is a suppressed bookworm with a feisty inner self. Considering she gets a boatload of fan service, I'm inclined to give her 4 stars. Like Koyomi, my heart goes to his actual girlfriend, Hitagi Senjougahara. On the surface, Senjougahara appears to be a hardworking, admirable student with a history of success on the track team. However, she keeps people at a distance, surrounding herself with a threatening aura to prevent others from discovering her true self. As a child, she nearly died from a fatal disease, and while surgery was able to save her, it cast her family into debt. To pay this debt, her mother was scammed into joining a cult, and disaster struck when one of the cult leaders tried to have his way with Senjougahara. She fought back, injuring the cult leader, and yet her mom took the cult's side. Her mom has since abandoned the family, leaving her and her father to pay back their medical debt. Senjougahara carried the weight of her past until encountering an oddity named the Heavy Stone Crab. It freed her of this weight, both emotionally and literally. Koyomi discovers this when Senjougahara slips at school, falling down the stairs into his arms. Wanting Koyomi to keep her secret, she threatens him with a stapler, which she uses to staple his cheek. Luckily, Koyomi can heal, and at this point is starting to become familiar with supernatural entities. He puts Senjougahara in touch with his mentor of sorts, Mayoi Oshino, the same guy who gave Shinobu her new name. Together, they contact the crab and convince it to give her weight back. For as much as she wanted to escape her traumatic past, she instead chooses to embrace it going forward. As thanks, Senjougahara and Koyomi become friends, and later, lovers. Even without the crab, Hitagi is a bit of an oddity herself. She's bold and provocative, entering into borderline yandere behavior to keep her lover safe from harm. She even goes so far as to deal with the dangerous con man who ruined her life just to protect him. As intimidating as this is, her feelings bleed through in a way I just can't ignore. I give her a full 5 stars. Although, I wouldn't consider her Monogatari's best girl. We'll get to that. Our next waifu is a weird one, Mayoi Hachikuji. Technically, this poor girl isn't even alive. When she was little, her parents divorced and her father got full custody. As a result, Mayoi grew up not even remembering her mother's face. She went to go see her mom for Mother's Day, but was killed by Truck-kun the day before. Instead of passing on, she became an earthbound spirit, a lost snail, who continues to search for her mother's house for over a decade. Koyomi eventually meets her on a different Mother's Day when he decides to slip out and visit the park. His desire not to return home grants him the ability to see Mayoi when no one else can. The two get along as total delinquents, playing pranks and endearingly mocking each other. With some external assistance, Koyomi is able to help Mayoi reach her mom's house, only to discover it's been vacant for some time. While this should allow her spirit to finally vanish, she instead upgrades to a wandering spirit for the chance to see Koyomi on occasion. Later on, as part of another strange situation, Koyomi winds up 11 years back in time and takes the opportunity to prevent Mayoi's death. The resulting world winds up becoming a zombie apocalypse, where we get to see Mayoi when she's 21 years old. For as hot as she is, the rest of this new timeline is absolute shit, and to return things to normal, Koyomi harshly decides to let Mayoi die. The ordeal is like a miniature Steins Gate. I don't really care for Mayoi since she's a child. However, we have to take her adult form into account. For that, I give her 4 stars, but as an annoying loli, I'm afraid she gets a platonic 1 star. Her comedic gags get old and repetitive really fast. Still, she winds up ascending as a goddess, which is pretty cool. She may not be my favorite waifu, but she does find a place she can truly call home. Now, my favorite waifu in the series happens to be Suruga Kanbaru, a shameless tomboy who loves to tease. During elementary school, she was dedicated to track and field. In a desperate attempt to become the fastest runner in her class, she wished on a mysterious object known as a monkey's paw, or at least that's what she thought it was. Rather than actually making her faster, it granted her wish by causing her opponents to be attacked and miss out on their races. Technically, she was the fastest, but not through her own merits. Terrified that her wish was causing harm to others, she quit track and focused on basketball, where she really excelled. Before long, she was the school's basketball ace and got noticed by Senjougahara, who was the track ace. Not only did they become friends, but their classmates nicknamed them the Valhalla Combo. Kanbaru fell in love with Senjougahara, though it remained unrequited. Eventually, she too discovered the secret to Hitagi's weightlessness, but gave in when threatened to stay away. Naturally, when Hitagi starts dating Koyomi, Kanbaru begins to stalk him. In truth, what she wished on wasn't simply a monkey's paw. It was actually part of an oddity known as the Rainy Devil, which grants wishes in exchange for a person's soul. Having already granted one of Kanbaru's wishes, the paw takes over her left arm. Her desire to be with Hitagi allows the devil to infest her even further, causing her to viciously attack Koyomi out of envy. Luckily, as part vampire, Koyomi heals when she horribly mutilates his body. Reasoning that it can't kill him, the Rainy Devil's paw goes dormant, its contract with Kanbaru voided on a technicality. Though heartbroken, she's glad to be free of the Rainy Devil's control. She takes her erotic frustrations out on Koyomi, perhaps to tempt him into cheating on Hitagi. Later on, Kanbaru discovers that one of her rivals in basketball, Numachi Iroka, has been collecting other pieces of the Rainy Devil. Numachi was a tragic case, a girl who broke her leg, forever ruining her athletic career. She took her own life, but through a contract with the Rainy Devil, she continued to amass parts and gather misfortune. Both girls duel it out in basketball to decide who wins the whole collection. Kanbaru scores a slam dunk, which allows her old rival to finally rest in peace. It makes perfect sense that an incredible tomboy like this would be voiced by Miyuki Sawashiro, the seiyuu behind Mordred in Fate. It goes without saying, but I give her a full 5 stars. Pretty much every scene she's in is a total blast. Another reoccurring waifu is Nadeko Sengoku, a friend of Koyomi's sister, Tsukihi. The three used to play together as children. She is a kind and innocent girl who was forcibly pulled into a situation with oddities. One of her classmates got their hands on an oddity named the Jagiri-nawa, an invisible snake that slowly constricts its prey. This classmate targeted Nadeko after she rejected a romantic confession. Unfairly cursed by the snake, it began to slowly strangle her, leaving scaly scars across her body. To try and lift this curse, Nadeko repeatedly visited the North Shirahebi shrine to sacrifice white snakes. Not sure why she thought this was a good idea, as it only angers the Jagiri-nawa more. Koyomi and Kanbaru find her doing this and team up to break the curse. They discover that Nadeko is actually cursed by 2 different Jagiri-nawa, both placed upon her by separate classmates. Regardless, the ritual works, staving off the snake's attacks, causing them to slither back to the students who summoned them for retaliation. To make matters even worse, she's confronted by a larger serpent, Kuchi-nawa, who demands she atone for murdering the white snakes earlier. This serpent is the result of her delusions, which have emerged upon learning that Koyomi has a girlfriend. Tempted by Kuchi-nawa, Nadeko eats a sacred talisman, transforming her into a serpentine oddity. In her rage, she tries to kill Koyomi, but Hitagi convinces her to wait until after their high school graduation. Ultimately, she is willingly deceived by Deishu Kaiki, the same bastard who leaked the Jagiri-nawa in the first place. He reminds her that there's more to life than love, and that she can find satisfaction through a hobby. Surprisingly, this helps Nadeko revert back into a human. Distancing herself from Koyomi, she begins to draw manga. Honestly, aside from her ever-popular theme song, I'm not a huge fan of Nadeko. She's too unstable and lacks substance, which I understand is a part of her character arc, but if given the choice, I choose to award her a mere 2 stars. Luckily, not all waifu are this high maintenance. In some remarkable wincest, the next 2 waifu are Koyomi's twin sisters, both of whom get boyfriends just to try to make their brother jealous. First, we'll cover Karen Araragi, a girl who declares herself to be a hero of justice, imitating tokusatsu heroes. She and Koyomi used to spar in judo with each other, but he gave that up when he became a vampire. In true heroic fashion, Karen quickly notices that Kaiki is one of the series' main antagonists. He's been scamming her classmates with fake charms, and so she tries to take him down. Instead, Kaiki retaliates, cursing her with a flame wreath bee. Luckily, this too is a counterfeit, only having enough power to keep Karen bedridden for a few days. Infamously, Karen is known most for the toothbrush scene, in which Koyomi suspects that having someone brush your teeth for you could be surprisingly erotic. She adds an element of chaos to the story with her reckless behavior, and I'm into that. Sadly, she's a bit young, but I'll still give her 4 stars. What can I say? I like her character design. Political correctness be damned. You kinda have to have the same attitude with Tsukihi Araragi. She's supposed to be the family's little sister, but in truth, she's apparently a false sibling. The Shide no Tori, or dying bird, is an oddity that reincarnates using a human womb. Turns out, Koyomi's mom became pregnant not only with her own child, but also this cuckoo's. Tsukihi then is part cuckoo, which causes her hair to grow at an abnormal rate. In legend, the lesser cuckoo is associated with phoenixes, immortal birds that only die when reincarnating. Tsukihi's summer vacation is interrupted when an onmyoji, or Japanese mystic named Yozuru Kagenui, invades her house and attacks her. Yozuru mistakes Tsukihi for a phoenix, but Shinobu is able to point out the difference. This revelation causes Tsukihi and Koyomi to question their status as siblings. Koyomi kisses her, and because he doesn't feel anything special about it, he reasons they really are brother and sister. To protect his sister, Koyomi confronts the onmyoji once more. Of the 2 twins, Tsukihi is definitely my least favorite. Since I gave Karen 4 stars, I think it's fair to give Tsukihi 3 stars. She definitely plays less of an active role, even in her own arc. Since I just mentioned onmyoji, it's worth noting that there are other people, other factions even, that deal with supernatural oddities. Koyomi gets his advice from Mayoi Oshino, who happens to be in the same occult research club in college as Kaiki, Yozuru, and our next waifu, Izuko Gaen. It's hard to tell by her hip-hop fashion, but Izuko is actually middle-aged. She's a mysterious figure in the story who intervenes from the sidelines. She confidently believes she knows everything, and it really does seem that way. This is the result of a curse she got when creating one of the series' other waifu. Izuko's kind of a wild card. Her appearances are brief enough that I honestly don't know much about her. As a result, I think I'll give her just 2 stars. She might be really profound, but I can't assume that unless the story develops her more. What I can say is that her sister, Toei Gaen, is Kanbaru's mom, as well as a total MILF. Or was, anyway. Both of Kanbaru's parents died in an accident, but it was their involvement with oddities that allowed Kanbaru to get her hands on the monkey's paw. You've got to give credit where it's due, and since Toei shows the same sort of exhibitionism as her daughter, I'll give her 4 stars. Another waifu that's hard to pin down is Yozuru. As an onmyoji, she specializes in dealing with immortal oddities. She's such a minor character that I'll have to resort to giving her 3 stars. I was gonna give her just 2, but that exposed midriff earns kudos. More prominent is Yozuru's familiar, Yotsugi Ononoki. She is what's known as a Tsukumogami, an animated corpse that serves as Yozuru's shikigami. Typically, Tsukumogami are artificial tools, like dolls, and shikigami are typically spirits. Yotsugi's a strange case for being a bit of both. Naturally, she used to be a living human who died around the age of 12. The Occult Research Club decided to resurrect her as a minion of sorts, and she chose Yozuru as her master. She doesn't recall her previous memories, and only considers her life the 15 years she spent as a shikigami. The process of resurrecting her caused the other club members to be cursed with various ailments. In Yozuru's case, she is cursed to avoid stepping on the ground, imagining it to be infested with sharks. Earlier, Yotsugi used her attack, Unlimited Rulebook, to blast Tsukihi in 2. But after that arc, she actually winds up assisting Koyomi and his friends. she's socially awkward, learning new phrases and mannerisms throughout the story. While I'm a fan of both robo-girls like Aigis and dolls like Kato Danzo, Yotsugi just doesn't appeal to me at all. I suppose she's cute, so I'll award her a platonic 2 stars. Our next waifu is a controversial inclusion. Likely, Ougi Oshino is gender fluid, initially not even being human, but they present as female a lot throughout the story. She, as I'll continue to refer to her, is a manifestation of Koyomi's doubts and self-hatred throughout the story. More specifically, she's an oddity born around the same time that he met Kishot. Basically, Koyomi felt like his actions over the past 6 months might be wrong, and these suppressed feelings take the form of Ougi, who introduces herself as Meimei's niece. At first, she appears to help Koyomi, but eventually, she pretends to be a looming darkness, attacking Koyomi both subliminally and directly. Her entire existence is a lie, and it nearly ends when Koyomi accurately reveals her identity as himself. On the verge of disappearing, she's saved when Meimei arrives and declares her his niece. By acknowledging and accepting the lie, Ougi is spared, able to continue living as a student. Now, Ougi might play a neat role in the story, facilitating an inner discussion of Koyomi's doubts and morals, but as a waifu, she's just kinda bland. As a result, I'm going to give her only 1 star. She's less of a character and more of a concept to me. Our very last waifu is Sodachi Oikura, another one of Koyomi's tragic classmates. When they were little, she used to tutor him in math. At the time, her dad physically abused her mom, and it showed in how tattered their house was. Sodachi initially invited Koyomi because his parents were police officers and hoped Koyomi might take the hint and inform them of her family's situation. However, she didn't want to be responsible for her parents getting arrested, and so she told Koyomi to keep it a secret. She bet on Koyomi taking action of his own, but that never came. Instead, he took her words to heart. Eventually, Sodachi's parents would divorce, and she was forced to live with her reclusive mother. Sodachi stopped going to school, but that changed with her mother's sudden disappearance 2 years later. Left alone, she was provided government housing so that she could attend Koyomi's school. Even though they're reunited, she blames Koyomi for her trauma, but forgives him when he offers to help her find her mom. While looking into the incident, though, a horrifying truth emerges. Sodachi's mom, who never left her room, deliberately starved to death. Her arc in the story ends with the government pulling their funding, forcing her to move and attend a new school. Thankfully, there's an epilogue where she winds up reconciling with Koyomi in college. It's really hard to rate her, given that her narrative is so damn depressing. Since she's cute, I'll give her 2 stars, but she's not exactly the kind of waifu who's gonna get figures made of her. That said, this has nothing to do with her merit as a character. And that does it, another 14 waifu down. Hopefully I didn't forget anyone. Despite how complicating it is, I really love this show, and feel it's the high point of Studio Shaft's productions. I hope you guys have enjoyed this journey just as much as I have. Be sure to let me know which anime or game I should cover next in the comments below.
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Lord Omagoden, Freebrick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Olympian Doll, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, King Kobo, Scout, Andre Foster, Zamas Autonomous, Yukie Iros, Crow Kalem, Saul Soto, Sogai CH, Caitlin P, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X 77, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaza Yume. Thank you all so much.